Hello, hi, how are you? I hope the week is taking you well. That is week 7 on S3. So welcome to task 4. My name is Kevin Tui and I'm your instructor for this task. So in this task, we're going to create an application that has the ability to upload files to an S3 bucket. For this case, you're going to leverage a Python application, and yes, let's get right to it. So let me share my screen. So I've created this repository that has the Python code and a README just to walk you through on what is required. So you can see this is a Python S3 file uploader having a graphical user interface using Tkinter, and Tkinter will provide the graphical user interface side of things. And then we are going to upload to the S3 bucket using the Boto3 library. So some of the things that are required, you need to have Python version 3, whichever kind of subversion installed. You need your AWS account configured. You should also have it maybe well configured within Visual Studio Code. You need to have some basic knowledge of Python. Then again, you also need to have AWS CLI configured, and it also needs to have access to an S3 bucket. So you'll need to install Boto3. For my case, I've installed Boto3, so I don't need to install. Even if I run this, I can run this here. So you can see it says requirement already satisfied, so I don't need to install it again for my case. So I will clear that. And then you can see you need to configure your AWS credentials. For now, personally, it is already configured, so I need not to do this. If you'd already configured it before while doing other tasks, you don't need to repeat that. But this task assumes that you've not done it before. Then you're going to create this Python script, as you can see on this side. I can just zoom it a bit so that you can see. So the first thing is you're going to import the Tkinter library. If you haven't installed it, further down, you're able to see the process of installing it. That is how you can install Tkinter, whether it is on Mac OS. I just use our Mac OS example here because I was using Mac at that time, but you can leverage any kind of guide. Then after because that one is going to be your GUI provider, so you can see you're going to get a file dialog box and a message box, which we need basically. For the file dialog will help us select the file. The message box will give us a message whether the file upload has happened successfully or not. So we're going to leverage Boto3, which is help us to interact with the AWS API for us to be able to do the upload. So you can see this is just a class. It gives this its title. Then you're going to provide a layout. So select a file to upload. You can see. So you can do that. Then you can see once it has two buttons, one button to browse and another button to upload to S3. I can even update, maybe I can write to S3 bucket if I want to here on this end, but I don't want. So you don't forget that you need to also change your bucket to your bucket name. It has to be unique. For my case, I'm using this bucket called Skillsync Upload bucket. So I'm going to show you. So let me just show you that. So if you see here, if I scroll down, you can see here it is Skillsync Upload bucket. And if I go to and show you from the AWS Management Console, here it is. You can see it is here and it is empty. It doesn't have any, so that we just prove that our application can upload files to that bucket. Then the next thing is once the file has been selected, it's going to get the file path. And if you try to upload without selecting a file, it will just give you an error that no file has been selected. And then if it's going to be able to upload this, if it gets an error, it's going to say file not found. If it doesn't get credentials, it says credentials not available. Or if the credentials are not complete, says incomplete credentials. And then if there's another error, you can be able to say an error occurred, then you can be able to give an error message. Again, when you're creating your bucket, so I'll first of all create a new bucket, but before I do that, I'll show you need to configure cross-origin resource sharing. So let me just show you that on my bucket, it has been already so that I don't have to repeat. So you'll go to permissions, and then you can see under cross-origin resource sharing, you can see I've added the rules. So I would even do these ones. So I can come here and just edit this file so that you use the same ones that I'm using. So I'll just edit my GitHub repo so that you don't get errors. I had gotten an error for this particular course. So I'll just change this one to those ones. Yeah, so I think that one will make a lot of sense. Yeah, so I'll commit changes, just upload it directly. And then I think you're going to get the updated. Yes, so you can see I'm using, so yes, I'm using this, you can see course configuration. Okay, gotten an error, need to edit that again. So allow me to edit. I think this should be corrected. Put them there, exactly, so it's going to work now. And I'm going to go to commit the changes, date those changes. And yes, so you can see you get them exactly the way it is on my end. So it's going to have this, so you can see allowed headers. So it's going to allow some authorization. So some of the allowed methods is get and head, and you can see just to retrieve the headers and allowed origins. For security purposes, you should only limit to your own domain. But for the purposes of this lab, we are just allowing all the domains, of which I'm going to now shut down the bucket after I'm done. Then again, you can still make it easy on you by running this command, right? You can just set the cause using this command. So I can even edit that because I see there's a markdown kind of an error there, so that I can change that. So you can see, yeah, so I think that one is here. Yeah, so as I can see this, I think I need to put it there. I think that one will apply to that. And then I think I can now commit those changes just to make, it's just some small formatting changes on my markdown so that it is readable. So once you see that, if I scroll down, you can see now you get your command only for you to do it on AWS CLI, but you can still update it using the graphical user interface, whichever that works for you. So it's always under permissions. Then the other thing is you need to also update the bucket policy. You can see, you can leverage the policy generator. So when you click on edit here, you can see there's a policy generator, and then you can generate. But now I think you've already gone through policies, so you're quite familiar about the policies. So you can see the policy here is allows all the kind of principles to upload an object and retrieve an object from your bucket. Then again, don't forget that you need to replace your S3 bucket name to your unique bucket name that you've provided. Then you're going to also, within the script itself, as I've mentioned earlier, there's this part where you need to replace the bucket name to your bucket. And then once you're done, you're going to just run Python S3 uploader, which you're going to do right now. And then you're going to do that. So this is just a process of installing Tkinter. I saw this as an issue within macOS, but for Windows, you'll still find that that you'll still have it. You'll still have it, and you'll see that you can have it directly and you can still use it. Okay, so let's now run the application so that we can confirm that it can upload objects. So I'll put the objects down here. So just put these to my side here, and then I will run this Python. Just go and right click because I'm using here, run Python, run the Python file in terminal. So I'll get this small kind of so you can see I've gotten this my application. As you can see, as much as it is small, it's a Python application, GI application. So I just click on browse, and then I'll be directed to where I can select a file. So I'm selecting a file called sports motivation posts. It's a small, but it has a long name. I need to remove some. Let me get another file. So let me get this file called Jans. I love it. So it's called jans.jpg. It's a picture, a quote. Then after I've selected it, I'll just click on upload to S3. After a short while, I'll get file chp jans.jpg has been uploaded successfully. So I'll just come here and refresh, and I can see the file is here, and I can review it, and I can get the object URL. I can open in a new tab the object URL just to confirm it's the same picture that I was checking out. So it's coming up. So it's still loading. So let it load. Okay, I don't know whether it's loading something else. It loaded something else. But let's see. A new tab. Then the object URL. Yeah, so what happens is it downloads it. It doesn't really show it on the browser. That is why you can see I was downloading it. So here it is. So it's just my picture here. And I just wanted to show that picture. It's a really interesting quote that I have. So you can see here it is. If I've seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. That is a quote by famous scientist Isaac Newton. So it was downloading it, really not doing that much in terms of changes. So that is your application. It's a Python application that can leverage an S3 bucket with the right permissions. So as usual, I usually prefer to make sure that I show you how you just close out anything. You cannot delete a bucket unless you empty it. So I need to delete this file. I'll delete that. I need to remove the space at the start, then delete objects. Then once I'm done, I'll go back and delete my bucket. So I'm deleting from this end so that I don't have to show you my other buckets. So delete. So I'll delete the bucket. So you can see once I'm told I'm supposed to delete it, as you can see here, I need to provide the name of the bucket. So I'll just copy this and paste it there so that I don't have to type. Then I'll delete the bucket. So you can see my bucket is successfully deleted. Anything else? So I don't think there's anything else because this one was running and I was just cloned it from my public repo, which you're going to get access to as you're doing this task. So all the best in your learning, and thank you so much for walking through and practicing this task on creating a Python application that leverages Boto3 for file uploads to an S3 bucket. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your Skillsync bootcamp learning.